Thank you for joining us once again. A while ago, we were just talking about the report that said P2B went to Rome specifically to discuss with Asiwaju about 224.5 billion naira loan judgment, or debt judgment rather, for Fidelity Bank. Before,
and I said no.
Yes. As we were just talking right now, a report trickled in again that P2B has denied all that. Let me read this before you go ahead. I've never sought an audience with nor met President Tinubu since assumed office, except about 1 minute meeting at the arena of St. Peter's Basilica, Rome, during the inauguration mass of Pope Leo XIV, where I was seated behind and had to respectfully greet him and other dignitaries present. This is in consonance with the experiences narrated and what we saw on video. You almost denied for him immediately.
Me, I knew, you see, the act of journalism is an act. And also, we cannot always know the line of what is true. There was a pictorial evidence, 4 pictures of a different angle of how they stood and the exchange, from the angle of the president, from the angle of Fayemi, from the angle of Peter Obi, and from the general angle where they caught other dignitaries. You know, they were all laughing. It was a short moment. It was not, and Fayemi also gave us a detailed account of how they went there, greeted the president, and told him they were the one hosting him. And the president said, "No, I'm the head of this delegation." And Obi said, "This delegation, I'm a part of it." And they all left. Now, in the first story that came out was the generated AI kneeling down of Peter.
Which we eventually
I said, no, this is not true. Now, it has not died down. Then Sarah Reporter came up with this one. And I asked, what is about Sowore and Peter Obi? I said, number one, Peter Obi doesn't hold any position in government. He was a candidate of Labour Party, and he has a right to criticize and talk on policies of government that are not right. And he also has a right to want to be the president of this country. What has he done?
Philip, you begin to ask, when the media houses or the media outfits, whether they are houses or now online or whatever, they are supposed to be they are integral part of democracy, essentially holding the government accountable, letting the people know what is happening. But you find these days, and particularly these issues of Sahara Reporter, rather than concentrate on holding the people in office accountable, you see them directing their missiles against those who are actually holding the government accountable. You know, whenever you see this report saying anonymous sources, somebody who doesn't want his or her name mentioned, you begin to doubt. What are they doing? Are they really helping democracy?
You know, the media per se, they were supposed to be the fourth estate of the government. And also realize that instead of us facing governance in Nigeria today, what we are doing is politicking. And you also know that the media is an instrument in the hand of politicians to propagate their message, either way, negatively or positively. You also remember that the media is the tool with which politicians use against their political opponent. What this story portrays is that, you know, Sahara Reporter is in the hands of a group of politicians, you know, standing out as an instrument to attack the person of Obi, you know, bringing his image into dispute before the public. Because what they have succeeded is saying is that what do not transpire, they picture it as if it happens. Obi never went to Rome, like he said, to meet with Asiwaju. Like I said in the previous section, that Obi was in Rome for Pope Francis transit. He went there. The government delegation that were there were Akpabio and all that. There were no story about that because the president was not there. This time around, this was the inauguration of
the new
Pope Leo the 14th inauguration. As a devoted Catholic and a Christian, he went back to be part of the inauguration. If we were a part of the burial ceremony of the previous Pope, it's also, you know, important that he should be there for the inauguration of the new one. And what do we get out of it? Sarah reporter now came up to say that, I asked a question in the other section that, look, at what point was this judgment against Fidelity Bank was pronounced by Supreme Court? Is it before the inauguration or after the inauguration? The dates are very sacrosanct. If the dates coincide, then you see where they get the story from. Because I can't remember whether the judgment, I think the judgment came just shortly after the inauguration.
Okay,
so you see that
I'll get back to you. Kingsley, you were very categorical when the last session, even before Obi denied that such thing never happened. You were very categorical in saying that this is fabricated. I begin to ask, many people could just read that same story for any other person other than Obi and believe it to be true. But you read it, you say, no, this can't be Obi. What manner of person is Obi to Nigerians?
Okay, so Obi has stood on a ground where he's calling Nigerian politicians and Nigerians to rise up and be patriotic to this nation. I don't think Obi will go to the president and ask for a subversion of Supreme Court judgment.
And looking at it, the case in question is not between Fidelity Bank and the government.
No.
It's one G Kappa something and then
the
the
company
private
in Lagos.
Yes.
Then there's G Kappa.
Yeah, and also looking at it that Obi is not the only shareholder of Fidelity Bank. I think about 500,000 shareholders.
He said more than 500,000. But there's something Obi said that I resonate with very well.
Yeah.
Obi said that the reason for this publication, number one, to discredit his person, so that the customers of the bank will look at him as a bad person on a political space, that he's not been able to manage a bank very well. And Obi came up and said, I've not only just been a director in Fidelity Bank, I've been a director in 3 other banks.
He was one of the youngest chairmen of the bank of a bank in Nigeria.
So
at a point.
He said it's an attack to discredit of the kind of person that I am, because he has held on to stand that Obi is one Nigerian governor that has not been invited, known to us by either ICPC or EFCC. Obi is one governor in this country that we know left a huge chunk of money for the incoming government. Obi is one governor that we know that stood on standards of education. He said it the other day when he went to an Anglican school in Kubwa. He said, I paid teachers. I mean, anybody should come out and refute and say, no, this is the kind of Obi that we know, and that's the kind of Nigerian that we want.
The last time we talked about, when we talked about the AI-generated picture, that instead of people to concentrate on holding the government accountable, even the people themselves have started politicking, like you are saying, you said earlier. Just 2 years into this tenure, people should be all over measuring where we are now versus where we were, and probably where they say we are going. Nobody's talking about governance. Nobody's talking about the changes in people's standard of living. Nobody's talking about the purchasing power that has been deflated. And everybody's talking about coalition. Everybody's talking about re-election. All questions from journalists, from reporters, from everybody is centered on coalition, 2027, which party, LP, this and that. What is it that has befallen Nigerian people?
What has befallen us is APC. APC has befallen Nigeria. APC came into office. Instead of doing what they were hired to do, and that is governance, they left governing the country and moved into politicking. Because all this coalition and all that, they were all started by APC. If the government is working, nobody will be talking about coalition. You have said it over and over that, look, APC had no business in politics. All they need to do to retain power is to perform. When they perform, if people are not hungry, if there's security, the rate of employment has gone up, dollar has, the exchange rate has reduced, fuel has, prices has come down, farmers are able to go to their farm, and the roads, the infrastructure are in place. People can travel by road without, they don't have to look for hundreds of thousands to pay for ticket to go to their places or to move around in this country. You see that nobody will be talking about coalition or 2027, people will be, if the environment is conducive for business to thrive, nobody will be talking about, about politics. But that's why I said APC has befallen the country. Because APC has failed to do what they expected to do, what they were hired to do, then the country has to look for alternative. The alternative is to think of how
to change.
Exactly. To bring in the people who can do the job.
Now, talking about bringing in the people that can do the job. In 2027, do you still see hatred, tribalism stand before us as against capacity, credibility, any form of maybe character in any candidate that's presented himself for election? Because you have some people who feel and say, oh, we are talking about Obi. They say, Igbo man cannot be president, things like that. You ask him, why are you not voting this person? Not because he can't perform, not because he's not better than the other person. They say, no.
Yeah, because of the Igbo man.
Some say, I cannot vote him.
Or because the Yoruba man.
Yeah. Some you understand. Say, no, Yoruba man is already a president, so we are likely to have that. So, but do you see people being held back once again by hatred for certain persons, and maybe not religion, but maybe hatred for certain religion, or hatred for, how do I put it, for certain class of persons? Because you have always heard Showore say that, oh, all these people putting up, ask him about Tinubu, for example, he tells Tinubu is not performing. Then who will stop the non-performance? Can we talk about P2B? And I think say all those ones, they don't know what they are doing. Who knows what they are doing? How do we deal with this circle of people who do not want Nigeria to move forward, and they don't even want Nigeria to move backward?
Well, it's very simple. What has befallen us is like cancer. It has eaten deep into us. Ethnicity, religion, tribe, regional politics, zonal politics, whatever you name it. For example, we ask a question. Someone like me now, can I dream of becoming a president of Nigeria no matter how good I am? Why? Because I'm from the minority of the minority of the minority of the minority of the minority. In fact, if I can take it down, we'll take it down further.
A miracle can happen.
Well, I agree with you. But from what we can see, the things we can see, we don't believe for them. It's the things we cannot see that we believe for. That's the truth. An Robo man today, even as major as Robo man is, or Robo tribe is, can he dream? Or an Anioma man. Even within Benue State that we have the T, we have the Idoma, then we have the Igede, then we have a little of Jukun. Not even Jukun is so far. Can an Idoma man say you want to?
But you also notice that some people are minority know that, but there is no special hatred for them. Do you notice that?
People like what?
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned T person, you just mentioned.
That's what I'm telling you.
There's no national hatred for Urobo man.
No, but can he be a president?
I mean, miracle can happen, like I said.
No, you are talking of miracle. I'm talking about reality on ground.
Yeah.
These things are, it may not be natural.
It can be.
It may not be natural hatred. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
But it may just be that.
But my worries
with
are not even.
disdain.
My worries are not coming from minority. My worries are somebody who wants to cast a vote. This man is competent. The other man is not competent.
Why is the hatred?
And I choose.
Why is the
I'm
hatred?
coming.
Because he's an Igbo man.
No, but not by minority. Not because Igbo is not a minority in Nigeria.
But he's not a majority.
Yeah, it's a majority. Igbo is one of the major tribes in Nigeria. And the person say, I cannot vote for this man because he's an Igbo man. Okay, not because he's a minority.
Okay, but let me ask you.
As a matter of fact, a lot of scholars, school of thought, that Igbo might have the highest population. Because apart from, you calculate Igbos in Southeast, you don't think of Igbos across all Nigeria. In any other place that is not Southeast, Igbos are the second largest voter.
But it's to galvanize it towards the vote.
So the hatred, do you think is still going to stand before us?
Yes. Because most
Philip,
of the time, I'm not there.
Do you still think people in all these sufferings and politinking, starting before the time, coalition and all that people are still held back by tribe, held back by hatred in their heart, as against having Nigeria work for everybody?
You see, I have hope. You know why? Because El-Rufai's son, one of those people who stood vehemently against Obi, had came out to say that, we didn't know as much as we know now, that Obi was not as bad as it was painted to us. That shows clear signal that, there's a picture before some segment of this, a section of this country against the Igbo man. But they are coming to realize that their real enemy is not the Igbo man, but is those people who are painting the Igbo man to be the devil that are the real enemy of this country. Somebody,
Adebanjo
of blessed memory said that the country will only have peace when Igbo man becomes president. That the solution to the Nigerian problem is an Igbo man's president. When you say there's the hatred, yes, the hatred was there, but to what end will it be with this hunger and all that? I believe strongly that this election will not go the way it went before, because the people who matter most in the section where Igbo is most hated, they are now coming to realize that that picture painted to them is not the right picture. And they also coming to realize that the people who are painting the picture today are the real enemy of this country.
All right. Time is already against us, so we'll look forward to 2027. Before then, we'll be talking about it. Hopefully, we get to that point and people decide to choose based on character, competence, and capability. And INEC also decides to...
I wish we have a day
decides to count the results as voted.
I wish we have a day to talk about what we just talked about on a broader level, where we have you coming from... I see it as minority and coming to be, not because of your religion or ethnicity or tribe, to be president of Nigeria, because of how good you are in governance.
Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think hopefully Nigeria will even grow to that point. So, if you find, what's the name, Joe Biden, his state in America is one of the smallest. There where it's like...
Even Little Rock, Arkansas,
yes.
where Bill Clinton comes from.
Just
it's
a very small state.
You see, that's why I agree with Obi when he prayed for his distractor, that may God have mercy on them, and so that they will come to realize that what they are not, serving human purpose.
Yeah, as God is having mercy on his distractors, or what do they call it, detractors? Which one?
Any of them.
Let God also have mercy on Nigeria. This is still News Insight. I will be right back.